You know, I was one of the first guys to come on record from the beginning. I told him he can come, and I can teach him some pointers.
So what needs to be done, or what needed to be done to make the fight happen, has been done by the Saudis, and we're close.
Mayweather has lit the fuse, and it's aimed straight at Chris Eubank Jr. The boxing icon isn't just talking from the sidelines, he's now in Conor Benn's corner, helping sculpt him into a ruthless, calculated beast. Mayweather warned Eubank Jr. to brace for humiliation because this rematch won't be a fight, it'll be a crushing execution. According to Floyd, Benn's transformation under his guidance will leave no room for excuses. Eubank better be ready for war because this time Benn's not coming to box. He's coming to destroy and bury him for good.
Care about that, dude. What kind of question is that? Dude, Conor Benn has not knocked nobody else since he got off the street.
On the other hand, Rolly Romero didn't hold back. He brutally dismissed Conor Benn with a savage jab that stunned the fight world. Shrugging off any respect, Rolly mocked the very mention of Benn, questioning why he's even being brought up. With full contempt, he ripped into Benn's reputation, pointing out that since his drug scandal, Benn hasn't knocked out anyone. According to Rolly, the hype is dead, the aura is gone, and Benn is nothing but smoke and mirrors now, completely irrelevant in his eyes.
I don't know whether Eubank will take the rematch. I mean,
does he? So how does it work? Like
contracted to.
He's contracted.
Yeah.
What if he doesn't want it?
He may retire. You know.
So his next fight has to be against Conor.
Yeah, or signed to. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that was the whole essence.
Unless everyone agrees together.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but
you guys want it.
Eddie Hearn unleashes a brutal take, accusing Chris Eubank Jr. of stalling the rematch out of pure fear. Despite the contract being signed, Hearn paints a picture of a man crumbling under pressure, implying Eubank might be looking for an exit, even retirement. Meanwhile, Conor Benn is locked in like a missile, training with fury and laser focus. Hearn warns that Benn isn't just returning, he's returning to destroy. As the public demands war, Eubank's silence grows suspicious. The question now, is he recharging or just scared of what's coming?
Conor Benn has got that activity which has plagued him for a long time. We believe he'll be stronger, sharper and better in the rematch and looking to overturn the result. So in our mind, nothing else but a Chris Eubank Jr. rematch and Conor Benn ready to go.
Conor Benn is spiraling into obsession, relentlessly demanding a rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. like his entire career rides on it. He's desperate to rewrite the past, knowing full well that without this fight, redemption might never come. But here's the brutal truth. Eubank Jr. already dismantled him once, exposing every flaw and walking away unscathed. This isn't shaping up to be a comeback story. It's a setup for another beating. Eubank Jr. isn't returning to box, he's returning to crush. If Benn thinks this is his shot at salvation, he's dead wrong. It'll be humiliation round 2.
I do think I nicked the fight. I wouldn't mind it going either way. You know, but the scorecards are out.
Chris Eubank Jr.'s manager, Elliot Amuckle, has come out swinging, confirming the rematch with Conor Benn is nearly done, and this time it's personal. Amuckle didn't just hype Eubank, he went scorched earth on Benn, branding his entire camp as delusional fools clinging to fantasy. He insisted Benn barely survived the first beating, and warned that the rematch won't be a fight, it'll be a cold-blooded execution. Amuckle torched Benn's ego, mocking his hollow confidence and claiming Eubank Jr. has now ascended into a ruthless, perfected destroyer. No mercy, no doubt, just demolition. Once Benn is left in ruins, Amuckle says the spotlight shifts to the biggest hunt of all, Canelo Alvarez. The destruction starts now.
Eubank Jr. comes through that. Eubank Jr. Canelo. Here we go.
That's what we want. We get through Conor Benn, and then we want Canelo.
Brilliant.
Veteran trainer and boxing analyst Adam Booth unleashed a savage breakdown of Conor Benn's loss, shutting down all excuses and exposing the raw truth. Booth insisted this wasn't about weight, it was about levels. He said Benn gassed early, panicked under pressure, and was mentally shattered long before the final bell. Chris Eubank Jr., he argued, didn't need knockout power, he used surgical accuracy, cold composure, and superior ring IQ to dissect Benn piece by piece. Meanwhile, Spencer Oliver backed the assessment, calling it a calculated beatdown. Benn didn't lose because of size, he lost because he was never ready for someone like Eubank. The humiliation was undeniable.
Box anymore because his legs weren't working.
Yeah.
He was throwing a lot of shots, but nothing had any real power or snap because he didn't have it in him, and so he couldn't force his size advantage on Benn. And Benn.
Tony Sims explodes with fury, ripping apart the idea that Chris Eubank Jr. clearly beat Conor Benn. He claims Benn was the one dictating the pace, pressing forward and landing the cleaner, more telling shots. Sims brands the judges' scorecards a disgrace, arguing Benn was robbed of a legacy-defining victory. He's now demanding immediate redemption, promising that a recharged, laser-focused Benn will set the record straight in the rematch. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Beneath the outrage lies a bitter truth. Chris Eubank Jr. still holds the edge. His composure, precision, and cold-blooded control exposed Ben once and might do it again.
We'll decide whether we do the rematch or drop down to the natural weight 147 and fight for the world title.
Joe Gallagher didn't pull any punches. He brutally tore apart the idea that Conor Benn stands a real chance in a rematch against Chris Eubank Jr. In Gallagher's eyes, Benn is still too raw, too emotional, and far too inexperienced to survive a war with someone as seasoned and ruthless as Eubank. He dismissed all talk of redemption as media-driven fantasy, insisting that hype can't replace skill or pedigree. On the other hand, he praised Eubank Jr. as a calculated killer, a fighter with the mindset and experience to punish every mistake. Gallagher warned that if Benn dares to step back in, it won't be a competitive clash. It'll be a cold, methodical dismantling. This isn't about learning anymore, it's about surviving. And Gallagher's message was crystal clear. Benn won't survive the next one.
Still a baby in the sport, he's still got learning to do, and I think fighting Eubank Jr., who would most be entering the ring bigger than it would last time, I just can't see it. I just can't.
Boxing analyst Sam Jones doesn't hold back, firing off a bold and controversial prediction for the upcoming rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. He declares it will be one of the most explosive and high-stakes showdowns in British boxing history, but he's flipping the script. According to Jones, the only reason Eubank triumphed the first time was size, not skill. He slams the judges for sugarcoating the reality, claiming Benn fought better than most fans saw. Moreover, Jones believes the rematch won't be close. Benn is now smarter, more calculated, and carrying a vengeance that's set to explode. On the flip side, Eubank's so-called dominance was a mirage, and this time there's no hiding behind physical advantages. Sam Jones is convinced Benn won't just win, he'll break Eubank down and silence the narrative for good. The storm's brewing and the truth is about to erupt.
Look, the rematch is going to be enormous, but I just think if they were the same size, it's a mismatch in my opinion. But look, they gave the two men, gave the fight fans one of the best fights ever, and I've got a lot of respect for Eubank and the Eubank name, but listen, I stand on it. I think Conor will beat him.
Trainer and elite strategist Jonathan Banks delivered a blistering takedown of the hype surrounding Conor Benn, branding Chris Eubank Jr.'s win as a cold-blooded tactical masterpiece. According to Banks, this wasn't just a win, it was a calculated dismantling from start to finish. Eubank's poise, icy focus, and razor-sharp ring IQ tore Benn apart with surgical precision. While fans expected chaos, Eubank delivered controlled destruction. Moreover, Banks destroyed the narrative that Eubank folds under pressure or weight stress. He claimed Eubank thrived, dictating every second and turning Benn's aggression into reckless panic. Those wild swings weren't danger, they were desperation. Banks insists fear is now creeping through the division because what Eubank displayed wasn't just dominance, it was a warning shot. Now the burning question is simple: who dares test that level of control and composure again? Because after that performance, the ring's suddenly looking like Eubank Jr.'s personal hunting ground.
Happy, well, I already knew what he could do, so I wasn't impressed, wasn't about it, but I knew what he could do, and I'm happy he done it. He was listening, and he did exactly what I thought he'd do, and I'm happy about it.
Smith, former world champion and no-nonsense boxing analyst, came out swinging, aiming his verbal punches straight at Chris Eubank Jr. while throwing full weight behind Conor Benn ahead of their explosive rematch. While acknowledging Eubank got the win last time, Smith ripped apart the illusion of dominance, branding Eubank's footwork clumsy, his reflexes faded, and his overall sharpness in freefall. Smith didn't mince words. He said Eubank looks like a fighter on the slide, desperately clinging to past glory. On the flip side, he praised Conor Benn's hunger, discipline, and relentless drive, saying a properly conditioned Benn could expose every crack in Eubank's defense. The real twist, Smith believes this isn't just about revenge, it's about crowning the future and burying the past. He warns that this fight will reveal who's still a lion and who's running on fumes. And according to Smith, Eubank is heading straight into a storm.
I think if Chris has a fight with Conor, it ends up a good fight, but I think Conor's got even more of a chance next time round, because like I said, I think Chris was 1 or 2 fights away from being done. I thought his balance was gone a little bit watching the fight, but like I say, he won, he ended up winning the fight, and so I kind of sound like I'm contradicting myself, if that makes sense.
Conor will come back, he'll be a better fighter, We've got a lot to go back. Well, not a lot to go back, just to be able to take his time.
Nigel Benn explodes with raw fury, branding Conor Benn's defeat to Chris Eubank Jr. as a rigged farce drenched in controversy. The legendary icon tears into Eubank Jr., calling him a soulless, media-built figure who capitalized on Conor's worst moment. Nigel doesn't stop there. He declares the entire fight a pre-planned ambush, accusing Eubank's camp of exploiting every unfair advantage possible. He demands a rematch, swearing that a locked-in, raging Conor will annihilate Eubank and expose the fraud. At the same time, Eddie Hearn fans the flames, hyping the inevitable rematch as an explosive war with no room for excuses. Nigel promises vengeance, violence, and absolute destruction. This isn't about pride anymore, it's about revenge, legacy, and erasing shame. One more fight and blood will settle what the judges couldn't. Who wins this war? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more savage boxing drama.